So, I have a confession to make. I love people watching. Like the old woman in her faded sari, plucking flowers in the morning for her puja. Little children jumping in and out of puddles in the Hyderabad monsoon, and the young, happy families. It just makes you think how all of these people have their own lives, their own web of emotions, families, problems, and so much more. Did you know this feeling actually has a word for it? Sonder. Sonder is the overwhelming realization that every random passerby you see on the street has a life as vivid, as chaotic, and as vibrant as your own. I remember talking to this girl a few years ago in a park. We were both very young then, but I remember how vivacious and charming she was, immediately engaging me in conversation. She told me about how she had just moved here to Hyderabad and was so excited by the prospects of a new city, but was having a little difficulty making friends. Even though this was a long time ago, I still hold this interaction in my heart with so much fondness. Recently, though, I've been thinking, would she now have preferred to confide these worries to ChatGPT instead? Would she have preferred to find solace in character AI? How much do we think and interact with the people around us? How human are we without these interactions? And what is the impact of generative AI on all this? Today I will attempt to answer these questions while I elaborate on the desensitization of the masses due to generative AI. We as Gen Z have more access to media than any other generation ever. Yet we think lesser, we feel lesser, letting AI just do the work for us. Recent research shows that Gen Z uses AI more as a friend, as a partner, for management of their own emotions, rather than a software or an algorithm. This leads to social isolation. But friends, do we really need research to back this fact? What was the last time you picked up a pen and a paper to jot down a new idea, a poem, even a story? Our paintbrushes, wax crayons, and oil pastels rot in hidden corners of our rooms as we AI generate artwork and converse with it. Social scientists have actually given this phenomena a name: AI induced indifference. This indifference, this numbness, is not coincidental. It is a direct result of the overuse of AI and a heavy influx of information. Prolonged exposure to any extremes like tragedy, destruction, or even humor by the AI algorithms of social media desensitizes its users. Basically, it numbs us. It numbs our humanity. What was the last time you looked at pictures of bombs, of dying children and crumpled buildings, and felt the outrage that you were supposed to feel? So, I'll just ask one more question. After we have invented generative AI, have we created the spectacular machine that can solve all our problems? Or have we created our very doom? But, as always, mankind holds both the poison and antidote to its survival in its own hands. We can either continue like this, as shells of our former glorious humanity, as past imitations of what we used to be, or we can change. Think of it as a zombie apocalypse. You can either succumb to this contagious disease of the overuse of AI, or change your ways. We can embrace humanity with all of its imperfections. To elaborate, I would like to quote a poem I have written myself from my book titled A Bouquet of Starlight. It goes something like this. You can find humans in many places. I repeat, you can find humans in many places. pale and round, dark and thin, with beautiful faces. You can find humans, but you need to search for humanity, lessening and dying with each strained breath, suffering for humans' vanity. Search for humanity, and perhaps you will come across this treasure which thrives in the tranquil heart's insanity. Now, this tranquil heart, this tranquil, insane heart, is nothing but the heart of an artist. What better way is there to fight numbness than to embrace the very thing we abandoned? Art. Throw yourself into art and its unlimited opportunities. Because creativity is our power to enact change. I repeat, creativity is the power we have to enact change. It doesn't have to be a masterpiece, I assure you. Make ugly, messy, inferior art, as long as it comes from you, from a place of authenticity. So, next time you're bored, just cook something with a little too much salt. Draw even if you don't really know how to. Write a terrible poem or even play an instrument badly. Because creating art is not just about adding something beautiful to the world. It's not just about making something pretty. It is a revolutionary act of choosing yourself, of choosing humanity. And I know it sounds so trivial to simply close the tab on your laptop and open a sketchbook. But a world that directly profits off this numbness and this meaninglessness, this is rebellion. This may be the only rebellion we'll ever have. Amidst all these grand talks of rebellion and masterpieces, there might be one thing on your mind. Isn't art the sacrifice we make for progress, for advancements in technology and AI? Don't we have to sacrifice something to gain something better? And yes, you are correct. We all have heard stories from our parents and grandparents describing the good old days before Google, Wi-Fi, the internet. I too have scoffed at these stories, telling them the same narrative about change. But isn't art too big a sacrifice? Isn't the human soul too big a sacrifice? Even today, archaeologists are finding ancient art and messy handprints left on caves and settlements by our ancestors. Warli art, practiced by Indian Neolithic tribes, is so simple, made out of circles, triangles, and lines. Yet it narrates a beautiful story about nature and community. This is simply the nature of art. Humans make art the way bees make honey. It is a physical manifestation of our souls and our lives itself. So, let's reclaim this very chaotic and messy life with equally chaotic and messy art. Thank you.